Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the word. And today that word is scattered. Scattered. Now you see that picture there of the earth and you can kind of see the people that are all scattered all around the globe as we are now. But have you ever stopped to think about what it would have been like before the flood? To think about before the land and the face of the earth looked so different? Think about it even at the Tower of Babel, right? When all the people were together speaking the same language. And then after that, how everything was dispersed. Everybody was scattered. Now you think about the way the land was scattered, the way the people were scattered, and yet Isaiah, as he's talking about here in Isaiah 24, he's kind of generalizing everything that he's been talking about with these different nations, and he's saying, look, there's coming a time, a time where the earth will be judged, and everyone and everything will be scattered. So Isaiah 24, verses 1 through 3 today, he says, behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface, and scatters abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the creditor, so with the debtor. The land shall be entirely emptied and utterly plundered, for the Lord has spoken this word. Now, the fact that he not only does he say it twice, behold, that word in Isaiah, behold, is always talking about something in the future. And then he comes back and repeats it there in verse 3 to say, look, the Lord has spoken it. In other words, if you thought that the Lord might change his mind, it's not going to happen. This is most certainly going to occur. This is going to take place. And if we look ahead to Revelation, we see the time of the tribulation that would line up perfectly with the things that are going on that are being said. He's saying there's coming a time when everything is going to be scattered, everyone is going to be scattered. Now, I know that today you have a lot of conspiracy theorists and a lot of great, wonderful, highly educated scientists who will look and say, okay, well, hey, global warming, hey, everything's going to melt and just a small increase and man, the whole earth could be covered in water. No, the Lord already did that one time, and He said He wasn't going to do it again, and gave us the rainbow as a symbol of that promise. But He didn't. He said He wasn't going to destroy it like that again. We know that this earth must pass away, and one of the ways that if you look at the fire and burning and destruction that is described in the tribulation time, and as much as we know in our society today with warfare and especially with nuclear warfare, it's not even hard to imagine that if there was a nuclear war that was to break out all over the earth today, how this earth would look different, how the people would be scattered, how the even the land itself and everything else on it would be scattered and different. Now, I don't say that to scare you because I think hopefully and I prayerfully we would know that this could happen at any time. But also, I believe that the Bible teaches and teaches us that we're there. The church will be raptured before the tribulation. I believe that will be the sign of the beginning of the tribulation. But here's the thing that he says, right? So if we believe that, then we know that the tribulation time and everything he's talking about, that the judgment that would fall on the earth, what he's saying today, as we just read, no one will be unaffected. He says it's the same. That's why he gives that list of the same with this person as with this person, the same with this person as this person. In other words, there was not going to be a single person who would not be affected. And in that time, it doesn't matter how much money you had, doesn't matter what kind of social status you had, doesn't matter what kind of job, doesn't matter what kind of house, what kind of car, what you had in your bank account, any of those things. None of that matters anymore. And so we as believers, we must be focused on the fact that all those things are just trivial. We don't need to focus on the material possessions. And yes, we have to have a job. And yes, we have to have money to survive. And yes, we have to have food. And yes, we have to have clothing and all these things. But if we don't have Jesus, if we don't have a relationship with Him, then not only have we just wasted and squandered this life, we have wasted our entire eternity. So let's make sure that we have a right relationship with God through Jesus Christ, that we are sharing the message of the good news. That even as Isaiah is preaching doom and gloom, I told you by the end of the week, tomorrow we'll be talking about salvation. Because as it always is with God, there is always a ray of hope. Even as he talks about sin in Genesis, in the beginning, when sin entered the world, God was talking about the things that were going to be handed down, how Adam was going to have to struggle to work the earth, and how Eve was going to have pain in childbirth, and what was going to happen to Satan. But even with that, as he's talking about Adam and Eve and the pain and suffering they were going to have to go through, he says, but there's coming a day. God already had a plan in place. So don't be worried and don't be scared about the things that will come. No, instead of fear of those things, let's have fear of God like we ought to. And that fear cannot be scattered. The Holy Spirit cannot be scattered from us as believers. And us as believers, we need to stay together as the family of God, looking forward today that we will be raptured together so that we don't have to experience that scattering that so many will. But if we don't want somebody to face that time of tribulation and ultimately an eternity in hell, then what are we doing about it today? It's easy for us to get scatterbrained and get a lot of other things on our mind and a lot of things on our plate and a lot of things on our calendar and a lot of things on our to-do list. But today, who do you need to tell about Jesus before it's too late? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.